Okay, good night, everyone, and we are sponsored by Baruch Ian and family, Nishmas Esther Bas Yona, Yaakov Chaim Ben Abba, Avram Ben Shmuel HaKohen, Lefu Shalem for Baruch Shlomo Ben Lina. We are sponsored by Aaron Swade, Nishmas Chanan Bas Shmuel, and his sister Freda Bas Shol, by Mark Frankel, Lefu Shalem for Chanan Bas Gittel Esther, Miriam Sarah Bas Sipora, by Bear Goldwasser and family, for Akaris HaToiv, for what Hashem did for his family and for the Chayla Yisrael. And we learned for Mike Shver, Avigdor ben Rivka, Meir ben Chayesari, Yudah Cyril Bas Miriam, they should have a refuah shalema b'sech Shachar Yisrael. We welcome in Mel Zachter and Saba and Mark Frankel, Marshall Castle, Shimon Klein, Irving Fishbound, Issa Ben Razel, it's great to have him back, A.B. Spry, Mo Kushner, Yisrael Fisher, Dr. Guy, Baruch Ian, Nachman Chapler, Michael, Aaron Swade, Avram Schenkman, Ilya Shutman, Yitzi Muller, Abe Arbach, Shelley Zeitlin. And here in Shul we have Berish Gesserman and Reb Halpert holding the fort over here. And David Helfgott is joining us on Kol Lashon. Who we have over here, Josh Rothberger, is on Facebook. I just want to make a comment that the last 3 days, the dafin were hard. So if you found them a little bit challenging, then that means that you're normal. We just spoke about that we just finished.
Normal? No way.
I wasn't talking about you. I'm talking about in general. Avram Allen Weissman is joining us. We just finished the Shpizin of Aaron. I spoke after Mincha that Aaron represents balance, normalcy. These dafim, these last 3 dafim, were not normal. They were hard. I was just talking to a Talmud Chacham, and he said to me, "Did you find the last 3 days hard?" Yeah, I did. We're holding now 4 lines from the top of Daf Nun Beis Amud Aleph. I did you a favor and I finished the Yavamis Gemara last night. 4 lines from the top. We are talking still about Kiddushin, She'ein Misurin Labiyah, Machloikis Abaya and Rava. What's the din if it's a Kiddushin that cannot result in Bia? In other words, he's Mekadosh 2 sisters, he doesn't know which one, so he can't sleep with them. Is the Kiddushin a good Kiddushin? Abaye says it is, Rava says it's not. So Tajma, the Tani Tav Yomi, Lezech Hamisha Banim, Rabbi Yisrael Fisher has 5 sons, well, hypothetically, Lezech Hamisha Banis, and Baruch Ian has 5 daughters, hypothetically. The Amar and Baruch says, Achas mibnosecha, Yisrael, Baruch Ian says, one of your daughters, Achas mibnosecha, one of your daughters should be Mikudeshes le'echad mibanai, should be betrothed to one of my sons. So, but he doesn't say which daughter, he doesn't say which one. So the Gemara says, Kol achas va'achas, each of the 5 daughters, tzricha chamisha gittin, need 5 gittin, because we don't know which son to which daughter. So therefore, each of the 5 sons have to give a get to each of the 5 daughters. Now, since it's not really Baruch's sons, it's hypothetical, so we could kill one off. So Meis Echad Mehem, one of them dies. Easy come, easy go, Baruch. As we welcome in Abba Steinhauser, one of these fictional sons die. So now one of the daughters is a Yavama. As one of the daughters might have been married to this son, and now he died childless. So now the other 4 brothers give chalitza. So tzricha arba gittin, they need 4 gittin. The chalitza me'echad me'em. All the brothers don't have to give chalitza because it's enough chalitza from one of the brothers, but one of the brothers has to give chalitza to the 5 girls. We don't know which girl was married and maybe her husband died childless, if he was her husband. So, but the question is over here, why should the Kiddushin be good? Since we don't know to which one he's married, he can't sleep with any of them, because it's all possible, achos ishtay, a sister of his wife. So it's Kiddushin she'ein mesur and labiyah. So if it's Kiddushin she'ein mesur and labiyah, according to Rava, why do you need to get at all? The way we answered all the similar questions, and that is that we knew which one it was, and then we forgot. But here, Baruch specified that he's not saying a specific boy and girl. He said, one of your daughters to one of my sons. And yet we say that it still is a suffix Kiddushin for each one, even though it's Kiddushin she'ein mesur labiyah. Says the Gemara, tiyufta the Rava, tiyufta. It's a refutation of Rava. And here we have one of the more rarer instances in Shas. In Shas, when Rava argues with Abaya, we only paskin like Abaya 6 times. And the Gemara says that here this is one of the 6 times. V'hilchasa kavase da Abaya, the law is like Abaya, biyal kigam, and this is the 4th case. This is the kuf of kagam, Kiddushin she'ein mesur labiyah, that we hold that Kiddushin she'ein mesur labiyah is a good Kiddushin. Yes?
In these cases, let's assume it's either a Nara or a Katana, because the father is...
Right, it's either a Nara or a Katana. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, as we welcome in Yehuda from Yerushalayim, Ruvain Palak just came in. No, we want him. We don't not want him. Let's see, Stephen Holtzman is arrived. Okay, so far 24 Zoomers. Come on, Marshall. It's not enough. Now, Abba Steinhauser is here. So we learned in the Mishnah, remember, Marshall is the king of the cheapies. Reb Halper doesn't know Marshall Castle that well yet, so, but Marshall, you know...
You're painting a good picture, don't worry, he knows me
Yeah,
now.
yeah, but Marshall, you know, he's the kind of guy that collects bottle caps till it's worth a pruta, and he's Mekadosh his wife with a bottle caps.
I love those Coca-Cola caps.
Yeah, that's I know my customer. But anyway, the Mark is looking. He's saying, "Why did I ever lend him money?" Mark, you never learn. So anyway, in our case, what Marshall did really takes the cake. He went into 5 girls' field, and it was a Shemitah year, so he gathered their figs, and what was it, figs or dates? What was it?
I think those were figs.
Figs, right. Kalkala Shiltain, he remembers. So he went into their field, gathered their own dates, but because it's a Shemitah year, he could take it. And then he's Mekadosh them with their own dates. It's a new spin on a cheap date. It's really, except there was a fig, but he doesn't give a fig. So anyway, so says the Gemara, there was an incident with 5 women. Amar Rav, so Rav says from this case, we could deduce 4 things. Shma mino mimasnisin arba. We could deduce 4 things. However, v'noket Rav b'yodei tlas. But Rav says only 3 of the 4 are conclusive. So let's see what we could conclude. Remember what the case is. Marshall went in. It was 5 women, 3 strangers, and 2 sisters. And he gathered from their figs a basket. It was a Shemitah year. And he says, you should be Mekadeshes to me with these figs. So we said that the 3 women that are strangers are Mekadeshes to him. And the 2 sisters are not. Right? Because since the 2 sisters, something that cannot be b'zeh achazeh, afilu babas achaz einai. Okay, so says the Gemara. So what 4 things could you deduce? So the first thing is Shma mino ha-mekadesh b'perish shvius mekadeshes. We could conclude that you could be mekadesh with perish shvius. Perish shvius is not like we're going to learn later on about kochim. Kochim is mishulchan gevaya kazachu. It comes from the divine table. It's not yours, and therefore you can't be mekadesh even with your chelik of kochim. But Shemitah, when you take it, it's yours. And therefore, since it's yours, you can be Mekadesh a woman with it. So the first thing is it's not that you're eating from the divine table, but rather it's yours. Bishmami, no, we could also conclude that Kitchel Begezel ain't Mekadeshes. If you're Mekadesh a woman with something that you stole, she's not Mekadeshes, even though you might have stolen it from her. Afilu begezel dida. Even if you stole it from her, you might say that if it's something you stole from her and she accepted it, maybe she was meichel and agreed that because otherwise, why is she accepting it quietly? She should say, "You're a thief. Just give it back to me." But no, we say it's only because it's Shemitah. Even though Marshall took it from their field, it's only because it's Shemitah that they're Mekadeshes. Mimai, and as the Gemara speaks it out. Midikitani shalahem oisa. It was theirs. Vishal shviyas oisa, but it was of Shemitah, which is hefker. Time of the shviyas, the hefker. So it's not stealing. Ha the shashne shvua. If it's the rest of the years, loy. Even though it belonged to them, and when they accepted, you might say that they were meichel. Bishmami no, and we could deduce another thing. This is so ingenious. Remember, one of these women accepted it for all 5. Now, that means that you could be a shliach. You could be a shliach for a. You could be a shliach for other women, even though they're going to become your rivals. And we don't question, well, maybe they didn't have the kavanah because they don't want a rival. A woman could be a shliach to accept Kiddushin on behalf of her friend, even where she becomes a rival. Now, we said that there's a 4th deduction. But Rav said there is a deduction, but it's inconclusive which way. V'idach mahi, and that is Kiddushin she'ein Misurin Labiyah. Because this is when we say that the 2 sisters are not Mekudeshes, that's a case of Kiddushin she'ein Misurin Labiyah. Right? And that would seem to prove, like Rava, that a Kiddushin where they can't sleep together, because if he's Mekadesh the 2 sisters, right? So they wouldn't be able to. He wouldn't be able to sleep with them, right? So it's a Kiddushin she'ein Misurin Labiyah. So the Gemara says why don't we say that? So the Gemara says because we could learn the Mishnah like we explained yesterday, either like Abaya or like Rava. We could learn it's like Abaya, that it's only if you do 2 at the same time, and the reason is that because but if it was one of the 2, even though it's Kiddushin she'ein Misurin Labiyah, it would be a good Kiddushin. It would be a good Kiddushin. Or, Ikirava, it's going like Rava, and it's even if it's one of the two, it's still no good because it's a Kiddushin Shem Yisur and Labiyah. And therefore that's, you can deduce one way, but we don't know which way, and therefore Rav didn't count it. Kisalik Reb Zera, when Reb Zera went up to Eretz Yisrael, so Amr Lahosh Maitza Kamei de Rabbi Yochanan. He said these three deductions that Rav said before Rabbi Yochanan. Amalei, so he said to him, Mi Amar Rav Hachi? Did Rav say this? In other words, the idea being that if you mekadesh someone with plain gezel, we don't assume yish bailam. Because if we assume that the owner was miyayish, then the Kiddushin would be good. Because the owner was miyayish, and then it's your property. So, v'hu lo yamar, does Rav Yochanan not hold this way? V'amar Rav Yochanan gazel v'lo nisyashu abaylim, in the event that you stole, but we don't know that the owner was miyayish. Who would steal? Marshall steals from Irving, right? And we don't know whether Irving gave up hope of recovering it. So the din is Shneyam Einam Yechayl Lahaktish. Both of them cannot be maktish to hektish the item that Marshall stole. Zelafi Sheina Shalai. Marshall can't do it because it's not his, and he cannot assume that Irving was miyayish. V'zeh, and Irving can't do it Lafi Sheina B'Rishusai. So you see that in a case where the owner is not miyayish, Rabbi Yochanan also holds that you cannot do Kiddushin. So why is he surprised that Rav holds this way? So the Gemara says, Hachi Karmale, mi Amar Rav Kavasi. Oh, that's news to me that Rav holds like me. Meisvei, so the Gemara says, but we learned differently. Kitcha begezel b'chamis u'begneva. If he was mekadosh with stolen merchandise, with stuff that he extorted. Chamas means he forced somebody to sell it, even though he paid for it. That's a type of theft. Like it says, that the Rabbi Nisham saw during the Mabel, Kimala Aretz Chamas, the world was created, was full of extortion. Obegneva is where somebody stole in stealth. You don't know who the thief is. Oisha chastav sela miyada, or he snatched a coin from her hand, v'kitcha, and he was mekadesh or mekadeshes. So here you see that you could be mekadesh with stolen merchandise. Says the Gemara, Hasam begezel dida. It's talking about where you stole it from her, and when she accepted it quietly, that's a sign. When she accepted it quietly, that's a sign that she was Michael, and she accepts it as Kiddushin. Says the Gemara, but that's the second case of Shechat of Sela Miyada, where he snatched the Sela. Says the Gemara, Hamadikatani Seifa Shechat of Sela Mishalai, he snatched the Sela from her. Michlal de Reisha Gezel de Almaskin is talking about stealing from other people. Says the Gemara, no, it's explanatory. Perusha Kamafarish. Ketcha begazel b'chamas u'b'gneva. In what case is she mekadeshes? Ketzat kigan shechatav sela miyada v'kitchabay, where he snatched it from her and he was mekadesha. So there, her acceptance is tantamount, without saying, but you stole that, is tantamount to her forgiving and accepting it as Kiddushin. But the question is, we just inferred from our Mishnah that even though Marshall took it from their field, it's only because it was Shemitah. But if it wouldn't be Shemitah, it wouldn't be a good Kiddushin, even though it was theirs. As the Gemara right away properly asked, V'amas Nisan, our Mishnah, de Gezel Dida, where it was her figs, V'ka'amar Rav, Eina Mekudeshes, it's only because it was Shemitah, but otherwise it wouldn't be a good Kiddushin. Says the Gemara, it depends. The brisa that says it's good is where they already had a shotgun make a shidduch. So where a shotgun made a shidduch, so there we say since it was already prearranged, there we say that add that to the fact that she was quiet, that she was meichel. Like kasha had shadach, if there was a prearranged agreement, so that in the brisa that's good. Our Mishnah is had shadach, where there was no such prearrangement. So now we're going to get some stories. Marshall says he likes stories. Mark also likes stories, I think. Yeah, Mark likes stories. And by the way, there is no shir tonight. I'm a little bit under the weather, so there's no chumash shir tonight. Many times I don't give a chumash shir on Chalamoid, but it's interesting, airing on TorahAnytime.com tomorrow night at 9, because that's when, if you go to TorahAnytime.com, you'll see on the home page all the way to the left, there's a blue thing that says live. If you hit that live button, then you get in the middle a bunch of flyers. One of the flyers is of my shiurim. If you press that flyer tomorrow night at 9, there'll be a shir, Shmini Atzeres and Hoshana Rabbah gems from the year 5776. I pulled up an old shir, and they're going to be running that shir, so you could see it at 9. I'll give you a scoop, since you're my inner circle, that you don't have to wait for 9 o'clock tomorrow night. I put that shir also on YouTube. So that's available on YouTube. There's a few shiurim that I put on YouTube. There's for the Shabbos table for Zois HaBracha from last year, and there's also a shir, a very short 8-minute shir, what does Shmini Atzeres commemorate? That's all on YouTube. If you're new to my YouTube channel, make sure to subscribe.
How do we subscribe?
There's a button that says subscribe. When you go to YouTube, there's a button there to subscribe. And I think that when you do that, then they alert you to my new shiurim, or something like that.
Okay.
They do. They alert you every time something comes up from you. They'll alert you.
They'll alert you, yeah. So it's a pretty good thing.
Just do a search for your name.
Rabbi Moshe Meirweiss. The channel is Rabbi Moshe Meirweiss.
Got it.
You know, the item remembers when I started doing that. There's already 470 shiurim on YouTube. It's amazing. It's amazing. So anyway, Hahi Itzisa, here's a woman. This is funny. Marshall meets a woman in a podiatry office. This is really interesting. He's into toes. So Hahi Itzisa, Davikamashya Kara b'Meshikla Demaya. She was washing her feet in a basin of water. She was taking, the whirlpool for her toes before they were getting cut. So also Ahu Gavra, and I told you many times, Ahu Gavra is Gematria Marshall. Also Ahu Gavra, Chotas Zuzei Mechavre, he snatched some money from Berish, V'shodala, and he threw it to her, Amalah, and he said to her, Mikachesly, he saw she was really relaxed in the whirlpool, so he says, would you be Mikadeshes to me? So now the shaila is, he stole the money. So she said yes. I don't know what she was thinking. In many ways, I don't know what she was thinking. But also, this man came before Rava. Do I have to be concerned about it? I stole the money. Nobody holds of Rav Shimon. In other words, we're not going to assume that the man that you snatched the money for was miyayish. If it was miyayish, if he gave up hope, then it's yours, then the Kiddushin would be good. Reb Shimon says, what's Reb Shimon's position? Reb Shimon holds, the Omar, it's the opinion of Reb Shimon, that stam gezela yish bailam hava. That when somebody steals something, the owner is miyayish. Why? Because if he says the guy is so brazen to steal it from me, he's more powerful than me, and I give up hope. But we don't hold the Reb Shimon. And therefore, since we can't assume that the guy was miyayish, he identified Marshall, he's going to get it back. He's not miyayish, or at least he's going to try to get it back. Therefore, it wasn't Marshall, and this woman in the podiatry office escaped a sorry fate. Now,
It says lace, they don't.
right, Reb Shimon says that we assume that he was miyayish, but we don't hold like Reb Shimon, and therefore we say that he wasn't miyayish. If it wasn't miyayish, it's not his. So then the Kiddushin is not a Kiddushin. Now, Hahu Arisa, there was a sharecropper. Let's see. This time we'll pick Marshall. Hahu Arisa, there was a sharecropper. The Kaddish b'moiza de shamche. He was mekadosh a woman with a handful of onions that he took from the owner's property. Now, he's a sharecropper, so he gets a portion of it, 25%, 50, but it wasn't divided. So in that handful of onions, there was stuff that he stole from the owner. So also the Kami de Rava, he came before Rava. Amalei, so Rava said to him, it's not a good Kiddushin. She expected to be Mekadeshes with the full handful. Man achlach, who waived the owner's rights to the part of those onions. Whatever you have an arrangement, if you get 50%, 50% was his. So you gave what's not yours to the woman. However, v'hani mili b'moiza, that's only if it was a handful. Aval kisha, but if you took a bundle, now a bundle, they made uniform bundles. So if he gave her a bundle, he could always say, well, I took a bundle, and you take a bundle, connected it. So there, Matzi Amalei Ano Shakle Kisha, he could tell the owner, I took a bundle, Shokolat Kisha, you take connected a bundle, we divide 50-50, Kisha ki Kisha. Every bundle is the same. A handful is different because in the handful there are different size onions and they never divided it. So that you can't do. Now, Hahu Sarsi. Now, this is not Marshall because you really need to be smart to brew beer. So this is Shelley. Shelley brews beer. Marshall drinks it, but Shelley brews beer. So how is Sarsa?
I ain't drinking his beer.
Well, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. He has secrets from Denver. Shelley has secrets from Denver. Look at his face. It's planted with a grin. Look at that grin. He's sitting there with a grin. How say the Kaddish befruma de shichra. Okay, so the beer belonged to Dr. Block, and he hired Shelley to brew the beer. Now, the beer was date beer, so he was mekadosh the woman with the dregs after the beer was poured out. So there's dregs of the dates. Now they use that again. They pour water it on again, and they make a second run and a third run. And he took some of the dregs, and he was mekadosh a woman. So Asa Mare de Shikra Ashkeche, Dr. Block came and found him. Amalei, and he said to him, why did you give the dates of the third run that are weak? you should have gave from the dregs of the stronger dregs from only the first run. Those are more tasty. So the shaila is, did Dr. Black mean it? Or was Dr. Black being sarcastic? You stole, you should have stole already the better ones. What did Dr. Black mean? So, also the Kami de Rava. So they came before Rava. So also the Kami de Rava. Amar, loy amar klach eitzel yafis. We only say that you should have taken from the better ones, el inyan truma, where it was for a mitzvah for truma. The shaila is, here, Mel separated truma from my crops without me asking him. So, the Tanya, Ketzad Omer Toirim Shaloi Medas, where do we say that if you take truma without the das of the balabayas, truma say truma, it's a good truma. If Mel went down to my field, the likit, he gathered, let's say, crops, v'torim shaloi b'rishus, and he gave truma without my permission. Im chayshish mishum gezel, if we say that I wasn't happy with it, I consider him a thief, then ain trumasa truma. V'im lav, but if there's indication that I'm okay with it, then trumasa truma. So the Gemara says, how do you know if I'm happy with it or not? How do you know if I'm happy with it or not? If I find Mel doing what he's doing, and I say to Mel, what, it's truma, why did you go to these? You should have gone to the better ones. If I tell him, klach eitzel yafais, so im nimtzu yafais, if there is better ones, then truma se truma. Then that was a validation. It's a good truma. V'im la, but if there isn't better ones, then I was being sarcastic, then ain't truma se truma. Either way, if I went ahead after Mel selected, and I go and I take a little bit more and throw it on his pile, if I went ahead and gathered and put on top of his pile, benkach or benkach, whether or not they found better ones, truma se truma, that's a validation. But that's only where it's a mitzvah. Here, where Shelley the brewer purloined it for his own benefit, for his own matrimonial prospects, avalacha, the only reason why Dr. Black might have said you should have taken from the better ones is mishum kesufu of it. He was maybe ashamed to say, you're a thief. However, we assume that he's not happy with it, and therefore, ve'ena mekudeshes, Shelley would not be mekudeshes, because we consider it stealing. Now, new Mishnah. Even with today's stuff, which is easier, it still takes a lot of time. These stuff. Yeah.
What if I worked for Shelley and I took the bundle? What then? Would that change things?
No, you're not allowed to take the bundle. It's not yours.
Even when he take it out of my pay, or I paid him back?
Yeah, but first of all, he's not going to know how much it is because, as we say in a bundle, there's different shapes and sizes. He's not going to know how much it is. You have to ask him first and then take it. Now, a kohen is mekadesh with his portion of kachim. We know that kohanim get a portion, whether it's kachim like a chatas or an ashim, or it's kachim kalim like a shlamim or a taida. A mekadesh b'chelkai, if the kohen is mekadesh a woman with his portion, ben kachim, whether it's kachim, ben kachim kalim, or it's kachim kalim, a portion like a shlamim or a taida, ain't a mekudeshes. Now the simple reason why she's not mekudeshes is because it is the kachim that the kohen eats is considered mishulchan gavaya kazachya. He gets it from the divine table and he eats it off Hashem's table, but it's not his. And since it's not his, he can't be mekadesh a woman with it. But Ma'aser Sheni, we know that in the first, second, fourth, and fifth year of the Shemitah cycle, after giving Meiser Rishon, the Meiser Sheni has to be taken up to Yerushalayim and eaten in Yerushalayim. If he's Mekadosh a woman with Meiser Sheni, Bein Shogeg, whether she was unaware that it was Meiser Sheni, Bein Mezid, or she was aware of it, like Kiddush. She's not Mekudeshes. Because Rameir holds Meiser Sheni Mammon Gavoyahu, it's considered again not your money, but you're allowed to eat Hashem's stuff in Yerushalayim, and since it's not yours, you can't be Mekadosh a woman with it. Rabbi Yehuda says b'shoigeg like kiddush. If she's unaware, it's not a good kiddushin, because since she's unaware, she thinks she could eat it anywhere. While she can't, she could only eat it in Yerushalayim, so it was under false pretense, so she's not Mekudeshes. But Mezid, if she's aware that it's Meiser Sheni, he holds that it's not Mammon Gavoya, and then Kiddush, then she's Mekudeshes. Or Behektish, if it's Hektish, so B'mezid, if she knows that it's Hektish, so she knows that it's wrong to use, but the din is, according to Rabbi Yehuda, even if you misappropriate hektish on purpose, it goes out to chulin, and since it goes out to chulin, she's then getting something from you, and she's been kedeshes. Ubeshageg like kiddush, but if it's done, excuse me, Rabbi Yehuda b'shageg like kiddush. If she's unaware, it's not good. Because since she's unaware, she would never have been maskim to take something of hektish if she was aware, and therefore it's not a good kedushin. B'mezid, if she's aware of it, and Rabbi Yehuda is of the opinion that even if you misappropriate b'mezid, the hektish goes off, and it's yours, then kiddush, then she is mekudeshes. I'm switching the words over here. I'm sorry. Let's go back again. Behektish. I keep on confusing the lines. Rabbi Yehuda holds behektish, b'mezid kiddush. If she's aware of it, then she's kiddush, because if she's aware of it, so she knows that a crime was being done, but she's okay with it. And Rabbi Yehuda holds that even if it's misappropriated b'mezid, it becomes yours. The kedusha goes off. So then the kiddushin is good. Ubeshageg, if she's unaware of it, like kiddush, it's not a good kiddushin, because if she would be aware, she wouldn't have been an accomplice to the crime. Divrei Rameir. That's the opinion of Rameir. That was my mistake. I kept on reading that as a continuation of Rabbi Yehuda. This is the opinion of Rameir. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer, the only time when you misappropriate hektish, the kedusha goes off, and therefore it's yours to be mekadosh, is only b'shogeg. It's only if you misappropriate inadvertently, then the kedusha goes off. It's yours, kiddush. B'mezid, but if it was willful, then the kedusha doesn't go off. It's not yours, and therefore lo kiddush. Now, we're going to zoom in on the first part of the Mishnah, which says that if you try to be Mekadosh and Isha with your portion of Kodesh Kedoshim or Kachim Kalim, it's no good, because it's not yours. Says the Gemara, well, it would seem to be that our Mishnah is not like Rabbi Yossi Aglili. Neima Masnisan Deloik Rabbi Yossi Aglili. Let's say that our Mishnah is not like Rabbi Yossi Aglili. The Tanya, for we learned in the Braisa, now this is talking about something that Marshall has done oodles of times, and that's swear falsely. The Marshall has a pikadon, and a deposit. I ask it for him back, and he swears that he doesn't have it. So then, when later on he fesses up, so the din is he has to bring a carbon mila, and he has to replace it and add a fifth. But the din is, that's only because it says, B'kichesh ba'amisa, he denies his friend. That means, but if he denies about hektish, he's not going to be chayav a carbon. Yet, it's the opinion of Rabbi Yossi Aglili, the Tanya, Ma'al ba'Hashem, if he commits trespass against Hashem, L'rabbis, that comes to include kachim kalim shehem emonai, so that if I gave him a shlomim to watch of mine, and then he says he doesn't have it and he swears about it, he would have to bring a carbon, because we learn out from Mal B'Hashem that even if it's something dedicated to Hashem, he's chayiv to swear. Shehem emonai, because kachim kalim are mom and bailim. Divrei Rabbi Yossi Glili. So according to Rabbi Yossi Glili, then a man should be able to be mekadosh an isha with kachim bailim, because we consider it mom and bailim. Says the Gemara, no, the only time it's mom and bailim is while it's alive. Afilu tamer Rabbi Yossi Glili, kikam Rabbi Yossi Glili mechayim, when it's alive. Aval acha shchita, but once they do the shchita, kabbalah, halacha, zrika, and the kohen is eating his portion of the chazav b'shaik, there he's eating it from the shulchan gevaya, therefore it's not his, and therefore it's not a good kiddushin. V'lacha shlita loy. My time, what's the reason? Ki kazachu, the kahanim, they're zeicha, mishulchan gevaya kazachu. They kanami diktani amekadish bechilkai, with his portion. That means after it's already shechted and divided up. Bein b'kachim kachim, bein kachim kalim like kiddush, not while it's alive. Shmamina. Now, Tana Rabbanan, la'acha pitirasei shel Rameir, after the passing of Rameir, lo'eleinu, Amalehem Rabbi Yehuda l'talmidav, Rabbi Yehuda said to his disciples, Al yikonsu talmidei Rameir lekan. Don't allow the disciples of Rameir to come in the yeshiva. Mipnei shekantorim heim, they're provokers, they're quarrelsome. V'lo lilmei Torah heim b'hem, they're not coming with a sincere desire to learn Torah lishma. Ela lipkapcheni ba'alachas heim b'hem. They want to show me up. They want to show the supremacy of the academy of Rameir, and therefore, since their learning is not motivated completely lishma, of course we're talking about like a very, very dakistic, subliminal kavana, but he didn't even want that. He wanted pure Torah lishma. But dachak sumchus v'nechnas. Sumchus was a renowned Talmud of Rameir, pushed himself in and entered. Amalahem, and he said to them, Kach shanali Rameir, so did Rameir teach me. I'm a kaddish bechelkai bein kachay kachim or bein kachim kalim. Whoever is mekadosh with his portion of kachay kachim or kachim kalim, loy kiddush. The woman is not kiddush. Now here's the problem. Here's the problem with this. The problem with this is, let's say that we'll give Mark Kayin status. Let's say Mark is a Kayin, and he has a portion of a chatas. Now, a chatas, kachay kachim, can only be eaten in the azara. If it's taken out of the azara, it's nifsal b'yotzei. It's disqualified by being taken out. So how can Mark be mekadosh a woman? A woman is not allowed to get into the azara. And if he takes it out of the azara, it's going to be disqualified. So therefore Rabbi Yehuda got angry. Kos Rabbi Yehuda aleim. Rabbi Yehuda got angry. Amalem loikach amarti lechem. Didn't I tell you? Al yikonsim mitalmid Rameir lekan. Don't bring in the students of Rameir. Mnei shekantorim. They're quarrelsome. V'lo lilma Torah. They're not coming to learn pure Torah. El lekapcheni b'halachas, to show me up with halachas. What kind of a teaching is this? How is it possible? How can you be mekadosh an isha? You can't take the kachay kachim out of the azara, and she can't come in the azara. Amar Rabbi Yossi. So Rabbi Yossi said, he was standing there. He said, Ye amru meir shachem. They'll say that Rameir was passed away, and he can't defend himself. Yehuda kas, and Yehuda is angry, so he's not thinking as clear as he can. When you're angry, you can't think as clear as you can. Yosi shasak, if I'm going to be silent, divrei Torah matayela, what's going to be with Amitei Shel Torah? There's plenty of ways where this could happen. V'chi ein adam osi l'kabel Kiddushin l'bitay ba'azara. It could be that a kohen is wants to marry someone's daughter, and he gives Kiddushin to the father. So the Kayin and the father are in the Azara. The girl doesn't have to be there. Furthermore, a woman could make a shliach to accept her Kiddushin. So this woman could make a shliach to accept the kachim kachim for her in the Azara. And furthermore, if she pushed her way in the Azara, it has to tell us what the halach is. You're right. She shouldn't be in the Azara. But if she pushed herself in, that's not going to invalidate the Kiddushin. What's the din? So therefore, that's why Rameir had to say these cases. Okay, we'll stop over here, Rabbi Yisai. Very pleasant daf. Remember, we'll be back same time tomorrow night. Be'ezus Hashem. We're going to learn the Mishnah Yomis now.